All right, we are about to bring in another calendar year. And so I have some topics I've been needing to hit on. So I felt like I needed to go ahead, since I have the time, to go ahead and do that. I'm going to try to check my microphone right now. I wish I had done that before. But I'm going to check my microphone, and while I'm checking my microphone, I want to see if I, make sure everybody can hear me. If you can hear me, give me a shout out. To me, amigos en Argentina, habla en inglés. Ahora, disculpa, otra vez yo quiero hablar vos, pero ahora necesito hablar mi amigos en Estados Unidos en inglés. Okay, otra vez. Pero for my people in the United States, this is for you. I'm still checking my microphone to make sure the volume is correct. But I want to get into some true history tonight, because we have the Moors that put out a lot of information, and it's not true. And so I need to because I don't want it to be a situation where people are saying, oh, you can't stand the Moors, or you hate the Moors. That's not the case. But the problem is that there's a lot of misinformation going on about what really went down with the Moors in the Americas. I'm only going to speak about the Americas, and maybe a little bit about before they came to the Americas, but definitely I want to speak on what my research, and you do your research, because when I speak on things, it's not, I always tell people, don't believe anything I say. You're not to believe anything I say. You get the information, and then you go and do your own research. All right, so if you all can hear me, let me know if my volume is good, if I'm clear. I'm still trying to get into this little this deal to check my microphone and see if it's doing what it needs to do. But in the meantime, if you guys can hear me, let me know. Any other time I can get into this thing and see if my microphone is on or not. But right now, I'm checking my microphone to see if it's up. But if you all can hear me, if you could at least give me a shout out, let me know. Yeah, I can hear you. No, I can't hear you. But I really want to go into this history. I'm not going to go very deep, because, I could, especially when we're talking about when the Moors came into the country, we can go really deep on that. But I'm not going to go too totally deep. Let me see because I don't know if you guys can see me or hear me well or not. Let me see if you can hear me. Please give me a shout. Say, yes, Diva, we can hear you. James, can you hear me? Is my microphone up? All right, let me try this again. All right, so in the meantime, I'm trying to see if I can get my see if my microphone is up before I go through this whole thing. And it said to me, oh, we couldn't hear a thing. So yeah, let me, any other time I know I can click on this thing and see. But at any rate, yes, we're going to talk about the original Americans, which most people running around calling themselves Black and African American. We're going to talk about the so-called Moors. We're going to talk about who the true Black people were. And one of the things, we're getting when we're going through this history, especially when is coming from what the Moors are saying, they're just clumping all melanated people into one group. It's like, oh, if you're melanated, or they use the term Black. If you're Black, you're Moor. Well, let me give you a clue. All right. Actually, we're gonna go through the term Moor. As a matter of fact, tonight I am doing a let me see, I'm gonna put this down on this list because I'm doing a marathon tonight, and I'm going to go through quite a few things that I've been needing to hit on, and as many of the topics that I talked about, put up as possible, I'm going to go through. But I'm going to go through this. Where is the microphone? And see if we can, right, and excuse me, I meant to do this before, but my computer is doing all kind of craziness. And once I went live, I didn't want to stop it. I'm hoping I could go ahead and find, can somebody please, if you can hear me, can you, anybody, D Nice, Miriam, Travis, El Santo, Hispania. You can hear me, please let me know if my microphone is up and working properly. If not, let me know so that I don't go not functioning. Let's see if I can get this. I know I'm saying, and I can see levels, I can see everything. All right, I'm just trying to check my volume, as I said. Hopefully, let's see, test. Can I get a test? I heard it. Okay, great, but can they hear me? Let's see. All right, I'm gonna need to back out of this. Thank you, D-Nice. My God. All right, so just trying to, thank you. I appreciate it because I'm like really, and I don't want to, I'm going to have to woo-saw quite a few times through this whole presentation because this is this history that is being kept from us is really a big deal. And, it's one thing that, the Albions or the Caucasians or the history that we're getting was rewritten. But, we're getting this stuff from the Moors. And again, I'm not a hater of the Moors. My thing, though, is that the true history is not being told. And there's a problem with that. So you're not going to have these Caucasians on one hand giving me one BS story, and then I got to go hear another BS story from these melanated people who are not telling the whole truth about our ancestors and what went on in this country. So I need to make a point and make a note. And everybody, please, take notes because I'm going to go through this, and hopefully you're going to be able to get some information so that you can go and do your own research. Do not believe anything I say. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't believe anything that you got from your public school education. You shouldn't be believing what these Moors said in these infiltrated temples. And not even the ones who try to make the Moors paint them as being some pristine type, lovely people. They were barbarians. Now, I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to take it back. And woosah. Because, again, there's a lot of misinformation being told. I'm going to give you my information. You can go and look this stuff up for yourself. You come back and maybe we can put the whole puzzle together. All right, let me start in the 1400s, right? In the 1400s, and again, I'm dealing with my research with respect to the history that took place here in the Americas, North America. Now, I'm going to go back to, let me say this before I do this, because what really got me riled up about this, I was already going to do, put out information, but what really got me riled up about this is that there was a character in my friends list that comes on and he's talking about how the Moors slept with the Caucasian women so that they could make them off the planet. Okay? As if these Moors were sleeping with these Caucasian women just because they were trying to do something good for the planet. Forgive me, and I'm going to try to keep my bad words to a minimum, but that's pure D bullshit. Pure D bullshit. And I need to go through that, because again, that's one of those narratives that the Moors are putting out, trying to make it seem as though, these characters coming into this country were pristine. Okay, I'm gonna say this also. All this stuff about, oh, if you melanated, you are more. Once again, that's pure D bullshit. Because what's going on is that there's an attempt to clump all melanated people into one group. And that's when that happens, somebody is telling a lie about what really went down in history. So we got to separate this shit so we can know who did what, when they did it, how they did it, because of the simple fact that we don't understand what went down in history, we're not understanding why we're getting so much stuff coming down on us right now in this current time. And because we are ignorant about the truth of history, we can't turn around the things that we need to turn around so that we can progress. We're still stuck. So we need to all this shit about, oh, we all the same. Just because we're all brown doesn't make us all the same people. I'm sorry. I know that's going to seem like, oh, you're separate, trying to divide us. Listen, there is no unity until we know the full truth. Why? Because a lot of these people who call themselves melanated they're not your family. And you can see this when we look at even when they talk about Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple. Okay, who infiltrated that? And who is still infiltrating that? Why is it that you got the Moorish Science Temple that took place back in the 1920s and we still, Wusa, have not progressed today? Because some lies are being told, because we don't know the truth about history. And I need to uncover some things today. And so again, I'm going to give you my notes, and then you can go back and then do your own research. So let me start in the 1400s. We know about Columbus, and I'm going to get on him, because even in the 1400s, we had, over here in the Americas, we had the Latifa tribe. Look that up. They're going to try to act like, oh, that's some kind of, what do they call it? Mythological being and all this. Latifa tribe was an all-woman tribe. Look up the Amazon women. They were in South America. The Americas were most of the tribes in the Americas rather, at that time in the 1400s we're talking about, were matriarchal tribes in nature. All right, and so the woman was the one who gave a male his position. If a male had a position, it was because of what he got from the woman. That's what we need to understand. All right, so that was in the 1400s. Again, look up the Latifa tribe, look up the Amazon women. You're going to find other tribes when you do your research about what was really going on in the Americas. When Columbus in 1492 came here, one of the things that I want to go into is what was going on when he was coming from Spain. Now, Columbus was coming from Spain, and in order to get here, he had to be paid or chartered. or hired or what have you. He had to get funding from Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. Those were two melanated people. As a matter of fact, what we need to understand in our history as we study is that all royalty was originally melanated people. All royalty. I don't care if they was Dutch. I don't care if they was British. I don't care if Finland. All of them melanated. All right. So you got Columbus coming over here. And he was funded by King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, two melanated people. Now, why is that important? Because I need to set this up, because you got to remember, history has been lying to us about who these people were, and what was really going down at that time. Now, at this time, this is like what they call the Dark Ages, or Middle Ages, where Caucasians really were coming out into a period where they had to be taught certain things. They call it the Renaissance period, where they were being taught how to clean themselves properly, how to eat properly, how to build, mathematics, sciences. Okay, so now here you got Columbus, who they want to portray as a Caucasian. He has to get funding from two melanated people. Now, again, Caucasians at this time were not of high standing in society. They were very low on the totem pole. They could not read. They did not write. They did not have education and all of this other stuff. So you want to tell me, and I'm not going to go deep into this, but again, do your own research, that this Christopher Columbus character was an Albion, a Caucasian, when he came into the Americas, and he's doing business with these people, royalty, who were mostly melanated people. This is a lowly Caucasian. First of all, how do you even, as a Caucasian, get contact with a royalty like that? How do you do it? You got to know somebody that knows somebody that knows something. Do any of you all have Barack Obama on lockdown in your cell phone? I know he ain't in mine. I don't even know somebody who knows somebody. So when you get in that kind of contact, you're not going to just be a lowly person. Second of all, how did he get his education? All right, these are the things that we have to look at. Again, Caucasians didn't have education like that. Here's another thing. This person was supposedly a sailor who was selling the seas. Now, most of the people selling the seas at that time were melanated people. And let's talk about navigation. When you're dealing with navigation, you have to know astrology. You must know astrology, or you ain't navigating nothing. And I'm telling you, astrology is difficult to know today, much less back then. Where did he get that education? Where did he get, another thing, the ships to sail? You have to have money. You're not going to come to me as royalty and you have never sailed before and you don't have any experience. You better have had, you got to have some ships under your belt. You better have some experience under your belt. You better have somebody vouching for you under your belt. That's the only way you're going to talk to me as royalty about giving you money to sail to a place that I don't even know exists. So you telling me this character was a Caucasian? Here's another thing that we know about the Columbus character in history. He was a Muslim that converted to Christianity because Queen Isabella was kicking everybody who was Muslim and Jew. She was kicking all of them out of Spain. And so it's like, if you haven't converted, you're getting kicked out. So Columbus was a Muslim that converted to Christianity because he didn't want to get kicked out of the country. All right? See, these are things that they're not telling you in history. So you still want me to believe this was a Caucasian that was going over? And by the way, when I say Jews, let me help y'all understand something. Again, in the 1400s, when I'm talking about Jews, those were melanated people. They were melanated. So what was a Muslim, by the way? We're going to go back to Muslims were what we know as Israelites that converted to Muslim. They just converted Israelites, melanated people. So you telling me this guy Columbus converted from Muslim to Christian because he didn't want to get kicked out of the country by Queen Isabel and King Ferdinand, who were melanated people. Okay, I go deep into that. I'm gonna stop right there. Do your research on it. It's highly unlikely that he was a Caucasian. Anyway, Columbus comes over to the Americas in 1492, and he supposedly finds these people over there, over here in the Americas. Again, what is not being mentioned in most of these mainstream historical documentations is that what he found were tribes that were run by women. They were matriarchal. And until we we need to start understanding that, because then we can start understanding the play as far as what's going on, with respect to even today. All right, now, we get into, let's go past this because we got the 1400s. Now, I need to say something, and because this is going to play into what we're talking about with respect to the Moors and the Caucasians, the Albions. We're going to call them Albions. The Albion was supposedly created in South America, what we know as Argentina today, by melanated people. This was before the 1400s, supposedly. And what ended up happening is the Albion is supposedly a hybrid or a takeoff of the melanated person. I won't go deep into that because I can go deep into why, the Albion was created and what the purpose was, because look, genetic splicing, I'm trying not to go too deep, but genetic splicing has been going on since before these vessels. These vessels that we call the human vessel, it's been going on since before these vessels. Supposedly, when the beings that created these vessels were tampering around with DNA and doing all of whatever they thought they were big and bad enough to do, they were trying to mix these melanated vessels with other animals and beings. The problem was that there was something about the melanin in these vessels that will not allow mixing them with other beings, meaning dogs and cats and lions and all this other stuff. These vessels won't allow it. There's something about the melanin or the carbon, I'm gonna call it carbon, that won't allow that mixing. And so they wanted, because they figured out, oh, it's the melanin, they needed to phase the melanin out and create this being that did not have the melanin in them. Phase the carbon out. So they specifically tampered with that gene that produces the melanin so that they can create another being that was light enough to, that didn't have the melanin in it or the carbon in it, so that they can end up fusing it with other beings. This is why what ended up happening is they created the non-melanated being, and then they started mixing it with things like the monkey, which is the other name for it is troglodyte Negro monkey, which is now called the chimpanzee, and other things. They started mixing them with dogs, canines. So this is one of the things that history is not telling, is that, again, we had this mixture of this new creation of beings being created in the Americas. It said that it was South America, and that's what my research is showing, Argentina, all right, and that they were moved from here because the climate, they couldn't take the climate, and then sent to Africa, which is what we know as Europe. But Europe was originally Africa. All right, so I just need to put that down because that's going to come into play as I continue with this information that I need to get on. All right, so I want to skip forward to the 1600s. Now, by the 1600s, you had the British that were in the Americas. Now, once again, what we have to remember, they want to make the British seem like they were Caucasians. But even at this time, the Queen of England